how much more time and energy and power would I have if they no longer existed for me? The infamous they, the Illuminati, the minions. You know, I know people that fit into that category, or at least have all the signs for it. Some interesting behavior from them, but they don't exist in my everyday affairs. I mean, I don't see them too often. So there might be, just oversimplified things, the masses, which are like the extras, the filler, often like the food. There are now pure magicians. They're beginning to wake up to themselves and what's going on around them. There's the tricksters who kept all the knowledge for themselves and tricked the sleeping pure magicians who are the creators. And then you got stuntmen, people that come in for special episodes and scenes. And there's all types of ones like that. But with the Mandela effect, where I'm from had, amongst other things, a very large gap in between Sicily and the mainland of Italy. I personally went through it in the time space of 2005 on a military supply vessel, being, I forget how, the USNS Sizzler, or was it the USNS Red Cloud? Same model ship. About 12 stories high from the waterline, which helps you often see further. Had military goggles. I could barely see the mainland of Italy, but I couldn't see Sicily, which was about another mile away, further than the mainland was. So off the top of my head, I'd say it's about 30 or 40 miles apart. And there was a reason to go through that strait as we were heading west. But here, that big gap, that big strait, just doesn't exist. One of the theories is perhaps those of us that are Mandela affected, maybe the world we came from was destroyed by nuclear bombs. Here, it doesn't seem like nuclear bombs exist, if you look into it. They at least don't exist in our everyday affairs. I mean, has anyone personally experienced one? So just like the Heineken virus, that's what I call it, a contagion style like virus doesn't exist to those of us that can see right in front of us. We don't personally experience it. We don't care what the fuck the TV says. It doesn't exist. they, the Illuminati, that consumes so much of our energy and time in our days, don't fill up our day. I mean, we don't personally experience them. We experience things, of course, that we contribute to them, but the same thing goes for the Heineken virus. So much of everyday life has changed because of this thing that we see doesn't exist. I mean, it could be a mind virus, so the pro-mask people are already infected. That's why they call it crown virus. Who knows? But how the mass has been believing that there's a virus out there we can see doesn't exist. We're not personally experiencing it. So won't we use the same logic and reason for the infamous they? And even if they do exist, us creators, us pure magicians, need to realize that we need to recapture ourselves. It's a constant battle for yourself. Which can result in further power for selves, many selves, you know. I'm a lover and a killer. So like where we came from, perhaps nukes did exist there, pre-Mandela effect. Now they don't exist. Let's not fight in the way that we were told to fight, because we'll lose. If you try to fight fear, for example, does not just make it worse. If you beat yourself up about depression, say if you're depression or something, doesn't that just make it worse? You know, say if you're going through anxiety, you feel anxiety attack coming on, instead of fight it wherever, why don't you just face it? Try to, instead of meditate, peace, namaste, I can be numb all the time, I hunger for numbness, I hunger to give robotic expressions that have no emotion behind them, instead of all that bullshit, why don't you just feel anxiety attack might come on, just embrace it, you know, meditate, try to, under your own will, instead of the anxiety controlling your will, under your own will, encourage a panic attack. Try to think about the things that freak you out. What you'll find often is that it loses its potency. You then become more potent than it. And even if you can induce a higher level of anxiety, you burn yourself out of it. You get out of the way so you have the rest of your day to do other things. And then, under your own will, you get yourself out of the anxiety. So, instead of hating on, blaming, letting so much of our time, energy, and power be wasted on talking about, thinking about, researching about what they are doing, instead of fighting it, you might find that so much of they, the tricksters, only exist because you create them to exist. Just like with nukes or the large strait between Sicily and the mainland of Italy, how those used to exist, they no longer exist because of who knows what happened from within. The change must come from within.